Warning: the following program is a collection of idiots talking about the happenings in the sports entertainment world. It is meant to be comedically informative. The opinions expressed on this show does not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their bosses, or the Infinite Plus network. There may be some out-of-pocket things said on this show because this is how we talk to each other. If you are young, please seek permission before watching any further. Your homies, the 3 Count Podcast. P.S. Please don't sue us.
Hit him with a 3 count. Pin him to the ground and the crowd go wild, man down. No, we out.
It's not even this show today. That's right. Hi, it's your friendly neighborhood Red Dog, and this is Red Dog and Friends.
No one told you life was gonna be this way.
That's right. It's your boy, your nephew, your cousin, the one. Now, it's not my line at all. No, because he is not here. No, unbelievably knows all the knows. It is the Air Force Veteran Intel Specialist, the one you call on when you need to get the job done, and your friendly neighborhood Red Dog. And this is Red Dog and Friends. And as you can see, it is me in the driver position, and we're going to talk about my friend. So the man sitting right next to me, he is, as he says, the rawest form of greatness. He is Twitch Great.
The rawest form of greatness that you will never come close to.
Hey, and also joining us, there's nobody else. It's just us. It's just us today. Hey, I got to be honest, though, like, in the history of this entire show, right? I tell people, right? I'm Latin, right? But I'm half white, right? So I think this is the first time where it's like 2 light-skinned dudes running the show.
Budget cuts, yes, that is exactly the reason it is just us today.
100%. Hey, nobody else wanted to do the job. We got to do the job. It is what it is. We're willing to do that. We're willing to fall on that sword and help everyone.
The real job squad right here.
The real job squad. That's right. So let's talk about some things that are going on. We get into this intro, right, and announcements like always. You guys see we're always here talking about it. But if you guys haven't, please follow us on all of our social media platforms. You see them right there at the 3 Count Pod, over here on X at 3count_pod. Just check us out. Give us a like, follow, subscribe to our channels, right? Follow us on, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Spotify. Check us out on Amazon Music. And then go follow us on that one app with the dumb jingle that's like iHeartRadio or however it goes, right? I can't really remember. Anyway, buy our merch on foryourwear.com. Check us out on ProWrestlingTees.com. Pick up our stuff, please. We want to support this show some more and better. Tell your mom, your dad, your auntie, your uncles, your brother, your sister, your cousins, that one person that was in your family tree, then they weren't, they're out. That person, tell us about the show, and then tell your enemies about us too, because we love haters too. So do all that stuff, and then, keep checking out all the content we got going on. So with that being said, also, I need you guys to go check out, because this morning, if you guys didn't know, there was Villains Lounge that dropped. So, big ups to that show. And, go check that show out every time that they drop an episode. And then go check out Now Into the Ring. This Tuesday, you guys are going to get Ryan Frost on the show. So definitely check out Ryan. It was a lot of fun for an interview. And we're, again, continuing dropping more and more episodes. And also be on the lookout because if you guys didn't check it out, you guys didn't see, there's a new addition to the family shows. It just kind of popped out of nowhere. I just kind of wanted to do something with another person. So you guys would have checked out Phil Stamper's Now Returning to the Ring. It came out last week on Wednesday. We have another one. It's probably either dropping this Wednesday or next Wednesday. I really haven't made a decision yet, but you'll be getting another version of Now Returning to the Ring, and it will be featuring one Tyree Taylor from Prolific. So you guys can check out that episode. We're going to go and get into Temp Check. That's right. So for you guys who don't know what Temp Check is, it's simple, right? We're going to talk to you about our hottest, our coldest, and then our match of the week. And then we can hear from you guys. You guys can tell us what you guys thought, and it'll be cool. So Twitch, go ahead. Tell us what your actually. Let's just start with your coldest wrestler first, and then we'll get
My
into the
coldest
hottest one.
wrestler is actually a group. So my coldest wrestler this week is Alpha Academy for that. We're out of here. We can't take this anymore. Split up. I after seeing such an abusive build with Chad Gable abusing everybody, I really thought this was going to be a different split up than what we got.
All right, so I'm just gonna agree with you on that one, right? Even though I have another person I'm gonna put in the coldest list, but I do agree with you. Like, it was definitely, I expected so much more to happen with, Gable, especially because we talked about this. But Gable, slapping Akira Tozawa, and you see Otis, like, his head rears up, and he looks over, and he just pushes Chad, and they just all like leave, and it's like, bro, there could have been, you could have built it, and then you went to the back, the locker room, and you're like, "Brr, we're out of here." Brr. Like, okay, cool. You have the plans? Who drove? That was right. For me, because it's a running joke and no one else is here to carry it, I'll be the one to do it. Bam! This man. For our audio listeners,
Damien's favorite.
Yeah, it's Damien's favorite. Chris Jericho is going to be that person that is our coldest wrestler of the week.
That's a respectable one.
Got to keep it running. What about your hottest wrestler of the week?
My hottest wrestler will please you and annoy CHAZ. It is none other than the Y6. I went back and I watched. So if you watched the Villains Lounge last night, I was very hard on the Y6 debut. But after sitting back and watching it again and again and again, and hearing people talk about it, if this isn't the hottest thing, I don't know what else to put up there. Like, everybody is still on fire about this debut. I would have liked to see a little things different, but let's be serious. It was a great debut for a dope group.
Yeah. So the funny thing is I initially was going to pick the Y6, but I was kind of waiting on you, because if you took the Y6, I was going to take this other person, and I'm going to take Jacob Fatu.
I was going to take Jacob Fatu.
Then I was
like, no, I'll do the Y6.
Because there's no way that both these debuts happen, right? And Jacob Fatu hits 2 super kicks and a mean ass, and eats a super kick, and it hits a mean ass lariat on KO, and then just completely destroys this trio of, like, hey, good guys, and it's just him. And so big ups to me.
From the turnbuckle onto that table was absolutely insane.
Yeah, just straight carnage, and
Love
I'm
it.
here for all of it. Yeah. But yeah, it's hard to argue with the Y6. Had let's just say Jacob Fatu's debut was next week, we would be talking, like, we'd totally be talking about the Y6, because, like, that was such a great intro for them, especially because you saw Jay in a corner, like, waving his hands, and then just, like, the lights hit, and he was like, I'm out. He just dipped
Not staying around.
No. And even afterwards, like, they did the interview, and he was like, you guys, you can have the Fireflies. I don't want no smoke. I don't want nothing to do with it, right? Specific people who are giving interviews, people who are being seen, people who are talking about it on Instagram and on Twitter. Like, they all had, like, connections to this group, and apparently they're gonna be doing storylines with the Y6. So I'm like, yo, I'm here for all of it.
I'm waiting.
I'm hyped. I'm so hyped. Like, everybody's like, well, what's the next thing you're gonna do? Who cares? This intro was fire. I haven't been this excited for a debut since Nexus. Like, I'll keep it 100.
The more I went back and watched that debut, the less critical I became of it. Between talking to Damien, talking to you guys last night on the Villains Lounge, and just, really taking myself as, okay, this is what I know about pro wrestling, and just getting rid of that and just watching this as a straight up fan, which I think I have a really big problem doing. Watching this as a straight up fan, it's exciting to see what they do with this.
Yeah, and that's where I have to remind myself too. It's just like I want to watch this and critique it as far as like a worker side goes, but then like I got into this business because I'm a fan, and
Exactly.
so I pull myself out, but also that everything shutting down, I instantly like perked up, and then hearing the
Yeah.
note, boom, boom, I was like, oh my god, he's in it, and I got just the goosebumps like racing up my arms. I was like, this is so lit, I'm so excited, bro. And then on the other side of things, you see Solo Sokoa put his hands up like, guys, no, don't hurt me, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Psych. And then bam, Jacob Fatu comes through and just obliterates everybody. I'm like, bro, pro wrestling right now in the E is at an all-time high. Like, so good. I'm so hyped for it.
It's a beautiful and I say this to a lot of people that I know who used to be fans of pro wrestling and kind of, it's not the coolest thing. Let me step away from it. Bro, what a wonderful time to be a fan of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, wholeheartedly.
That's what I've told a lot of people, because a lot of my friends and a lot of people that I've talked to, they're all like, man, I used to watch pro wrestling back in the day. And I get different generations, which to me is maddening, right? People are like, I used to watch it, and then I grew up, and I'm like, all right, cool. Well, who are some of the wrestlers you liked? And they'll be like Undertaker and Rock and Austin. There's like that trio. And then some people will be like Batista, John Cena, and Brock Lesnar. I'm like, okay, well, you have that era, right? I can respect that. And then, some people who are like Roman, Seth, and Dean. I'm like, oh, so we was like kind of a current era, but we just kind of fell off. So like to hear people, and then I heard someone say Bray. I was like, well, Bray's brother's back, and they're like, wait, Bo? And I was like the Bo Leave guy. I was like, oh yeah, and I was like, you got to watch this intro, and they're like, which one's Bo? I was like, the one in the back. They're like, oh my god. It was like, yeah,
the one with the top hat.
The one with the top hat. Everybody's like, this is so crazy. I'm like, I know, bro. Like, I'm here for all of this. So yeah, like I'm trying to bring back all those people who are like, I don't want to say lost fans. They were just they fell out. And I'm like, listen, and the beauty of wrestling too right now is that you can tell them like, hey, look, you can still watch Rey Mysterio. I know I just made fun of him, right? But you can make fun, Chris Jericho's still around, right? I was like, and depending on what era you came through, right? John Cena still shows up every once in a while. The Rock has shown up a couple times.
The Rock was just back for what, a 3-month run?
Yeah. I was like, did you like the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes? Well, you can check out his son, like Cody.
The American Nightmare.
Yeah, the American Nightmare. Like, it's such a great time. Oh, you're a Ric Flair fan? Oh, you should check out his daughter Charlotte. She's here. So to me, I'm trying to like bring back all those like past fans and just like show them like, hey, this is something you might want to check out.
Yeah, this is the time.
Yeah. And I actually had a person who told me they missed seeing Carlito. I was like, well, he's back.
Would you like to know he's back and better than ever?
Yeah, he's doing great things. So it's definitely fun to watch. Let me jump through here on these comments real quick. Red Dawg and Friends is greater than CHAZ and Friends because CHAZ sucks.
I can wholeheartedly agree with that.
I rewatched their debut so many times. I'm really excited to see how this plan is out for the Y6. Agreed.
And I'm right there. I agree with that. It's gonna be something well worth watching, like bloom and seeing where this ends up.
It was funny because I know a lot of people have talked about, they're like, well, only 5 of the people have debuted. Who's going to be the 6th? And, there's been a lot of talks, and we talked about it on the Villains Lounge last night. But for me, I got a message to me that the 6th member is Bray Wyatt. And I was like, my heart.
Bro,
I love this group. This group could no longer do anything wrong.
After hearing that last night and seeing how, I think it was you who pointed out when Bo lifts up the Uncle Howdy, lifts up the lantern, everybody like steps in to the lantern. Like, that lantern is definitely the soul of Bray Wyatt.
Yeah. And what I love too was
I
like
support that.
when the door busted open, that light, that was the same light that they used when Bray showed up at Extreme Rules. So when they had that and then they cut it out, it was supposed to show like the new turning page. And I was like, oh, I'm here for all this. And then the lantern. And I was like, my heartstrings are getting pulled right now. It's a great time to be a fan of professional wrestling right now. It's so many options out there right now. It is, especially if you're just like a and we'll call it a top brand person, right? Like you're into like WWE, AEW. We'll throw Impact, TNA, in that, and then from there, like as you start digging more and more and more, you're starting to see like all these other wrestling promotions that you can fall in love with. I throw out one all the time to people, and it's kind of hit or miss with them. But if you guys ever get the chance to go check out a promotion called Old Time Wrestling out of Ohio, all their characters are 1930s characters. So
What?
yeah, so like recently, the last show that I checked out, Ruby Soho worked at the show, and she was Ruby the Riveter, and she had the bandana tied up with a suit, and she was doing the pose like
Oh, I need to check this out. You're
Yeah.
gonna have to send me this.
I got you. And then there's like another promotion up here in Massachusetts, and I be sharing all their stuff, and they kind of get thrown off a lot, but they're at a Tewksbury. They actually work with New England Pro Wrestling Academy. It's called Rad Pro Wrestling, and currently they're in year 1995. And like the latest poster that I saw was just a straight pull from like Alter Beast from Sega Genesis.
Nice.
I was like, yo, I'm here for all of this.
Bro,
So I get
love
so
it.
excited when I get to see like wrestling that's like coded in another universe. I'm like, this is
I like when I get to see wrestlers who have one side of them that is serious, like Ruby Soho, for example. But then she also has the ability to go to this other promotion and just relax, play this off the wall gimmick. Like I like it. I like the cosplay shows.
Yeah. Well, and then like what is there? There's like is it Big Kaiju Wrestling that they
Big
wrestle?
Kaiju wrestling. Yes.
They wrestle in a town. Like, they destroy a little city, and then I think Freddie Prinze Jr. and Macaulay Culkin are like doing their own promotion, and it's based out of like breakfast foods. Like,
Bro, if there was ever anything that could be more weird, wow.
it's a whole breakfast promotion. Like they have like the sausage versus like eggs. Like I've heard like some pretty wild ones, like the I forget, man. There's like one like the cereal man and all, like no, he's called the serial killer. That's right. And he's a box of cereal.
Oh my god.
Yo, I've been playing around the indie game a little bit too long, because like now I'm starting to see promotions. I'm like, I really want to see what this promotion is. Like I really want to be involved in that promotion. That like
If I
get to
ever
wrestle.
see you come out dressed up as a big red dog, I'm just saying, I know where you went.
I'll be like, hey, like I want to come into like I want to come into a promotion, like especially a place like that, and just be called the Red Spoon, and just look like a Dairy Queen spoon, like it just run around. Like
I love it.
I'm just like, yo, this would be where I'm at. This is
That's
how I've been
awesome.
thinking. Yo, so let's get into this first debate topic, right?
Let's get on.
AEW has some low ratings. It's their lowest rated show, right? I think it's like 508,000 people viewed Wednesday night show. What's to blame?
Lack of consistency, lack of real storylines. Like, I understand AEW is trying to do it based off of the win-loss record. To be honest, it's a number of things, and I don't know if I could pinpoint just one. I don't think there was any sort of... I don't think the Stanley Cup Finals is on, so they can't blame it on any other major sporting event. Like, I say a lot of wild things about AEW just to get under Damien's skin, But if you sit back and look at it, man, they got some real issues, and now it's starting to affect their ratings. Like,
Yeah. I think the top one, I think my top problem with AEW is that there is a lack of consistency from show to show to show. Like I know they're trying to fix that and I'm okay with that, but there's like no real big storylines. Your champion isn't really being featured as your champion. They're
yeah,
kind of like in the middle of the card. Like that's where Swerve was at the beginning of this, like not even at the beginning of the show. You know what I mean? Like we have a lot of problems that we're not addressing. Like it was cool the first couple years because you got all these like dream matchups, and so people were tuning in because you know the Bucks were doing a ladder match against you know the against the Lucha Bros, and they're going through double tables and they're taking these crazy risk bumps, right? And I think there's a point where fans are just not going to respond anymore because they're looking for whatever that next thing is going to be. And the one thing about WWE is that the storylines keep you hooked and they keep you consistent. And I think that's what AEW kind of needs to get back to is this idea of like, hey, we can put on these fire matches and tell these fire storylines. And I think we're getting there, right? Because I mean, right now with the Young Bucks kind of being like the circle point of everything, where like you know there's like especially with the situation where the Acclaim came out and they cut off their microphone, and then there's Okada, talking about them, right? We could talk about that highlight moment, but like when you talk about the four pillars of your company, right, as far as like Darby, MJF, um, Jungle Boy, and then Sammy Guevara, and for a while none of them were there. They were all gone. And so like and then you're missing Britt Baker, right? Like she was one of your big draws. She's not there. So what are we doing? We're not investing in the people that we need to invest into. Like the crowd is telling you who they want to hear from and what they want to see from, and you're not really giving them anything. Like sure,
it's
we're
like if you don't know, like if you are a wrestling fan and you are scrolling through the channels and you see this, and then you see these people, Sammy Guevara, Jungle Boy, who the fuck are these people? Like, it goes with the comment that Keith Ross just put in. You need to explain who these wrestlers are. Like, somebody like, your casual wrestling fan who's used to seeing John Cena, Batista, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We know who they are. But if you're scrolling the channels and this catches your attention and it's like, okay, week 3 comes along, you still don't know who these people are. And going back to what you were saying about the world champion being in the middle of the card and stuff like that, it's hard to take you serious when your world champion is being treated like an intercontinental champion.
yeah, and you're putting on these you're putting on these banger like 8-man tag matches as your main event, but like Swerve deserves so much better than this. And then, again, we need to explain who these people are. We got to build these programs up. Like people were hyped about Wardlow coming in because Wardlow's packages, like in January, were really cool. Like he was this guy coming in. He looks like the Terminator. He's like destroying these two randos. I'm still talking about that was in the first year. Like, we're talking about January when that came out, and then like he shows up with MJF, and then starts to destroy. But then guess what? What's he doing now? He's just the like he at one point was like lined up to be like the next dude to take on the world championship, and then what happened? You just stuck him with the Undisputed Kingdom, and like now he's just another dude. And then every time he gets beat, guess what? We just stick him with a bunch of jobbers for like 6 weeks while we spin the wheel, and then he goes and takes on somebody and then loses. Like it's not the way that we want that build up. We want to see someone like Wardlow. Like fans were behind him, like hot behind him, and then all of a sudden it just faded off.
And you will always have your AEW diehards. You will. It's how the wrestling world is. You will always have someone that says this is better than that. But I think we're entering a point where Tony needs to start looking for a booker elsewhere. Maybe we need to see less of Tony. I know this is the horrible name to bring up, but after a while, we started seeing less and less of Vince McMahon. Like, how often during, 2010s were you seeing Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Like you don't see him as much. And granted, we're not seeing Tony as much, but I feel like Tony needs to start taking control of his company back and, actually hiring real bookers. I get that the Young Bucks are EVPs and shit like that, but I feel like if they're really EVPs, maybe less TV time for them and more like backstage politicking time for them. Like something, I feel like until they start working from the interior out and fixing the problems, it'll probably never get better.
Yeah, I think another thing is like if this is gonna be Bryan Danielson's last year's as like a full-time wrestler, then he needs to start taking full-time bookings, like being a full-time booker. Like he's a guy that has the eye for the business, similar to how Hunter does, and can understand like the concepts of like how things are gonna roll and how people are gonna move. And I think he's that guy, because I'm not gonna lie, man, AEW puts on fire matches. But
they do.
There has to be something else tying me into it too. Like I want to get wrapped up in the characters. Like I talk about Orange Cassidy all the time. Like I love Orange Cassidy. I know a lot of people hate him. A lot of people sit there and they're like, he's not a real wrestler, blah 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 blah. But guess what? He does everything you need him to do. He tells the story. He gets the matches moving. Everything that you look for in a match, he does. And I cannot sit back and like I watch him, and then like Shane Taylor, right? That's another person I love watching, Shane Taylor Promotions, right? There are certain wrestlers that I want to see move, but if they're not the big needle movers, then where are your big needle movers, and how can we invest into them so that they are equivalent to a Roman Reigns?
Another problem with that though becomes all of their big needle movers are constantly hurt. Like Adam Cole, hurt. Britt Baker, hurt. MJF just came back from being hurt. Darby, how he's not dead? Like, at what point do we say, okay, we saw 5 years worth of anarchy in the arena. Maybe it's time we don't do that anymore just to protect our talent. Like, for 5 years, I feel like AEW has had a real big problem with injuries, and I feel like until we get rid of the dumb shit, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and it maybe and it does come down to like, hey, I know you guys wrestle once a week on the show, or once a week on Collision, or once a Rampage, right? You're gonna put on one match, and then you work at ROH. Like, I don't know, man. Like the fact that Athena is in ROH right now, and she's been the longest women's champion, and no one's talking about it on AEW is a bother to me. Like, she's a needle mover if you let her be. We see Mercedes Moné like tearing things up, like on she's got these promos and stuff like that, but the crowd is really kind of starting to turn on her, and they're still trying to push her as a babyface. Flip her to a heel, let her just talk shit, let her just do these things. But we have all these pay-per-views where we have these mixes going on, right? Where we're introducing tons and tons of titles. That's another point that Keith brought up, right? And I'll bring his comment up so you guys can see it. Yeah. But there's too many belts. Like, everybody has a title, right? We have TBS, the TNT, the women's, the men's, the tag team, the trios, the ROH trios. We have the ROH women's, ROH,
the FTW.
Yeah, FTW. Like, yeah, way too. And I get it. ROH should have like their own trios title, their own women's title, their world television title, the men's heavyweight title. You should have those titles, but they should strictly, if the team wins it, they should strictly be on ROH. There's no reason for the Bang Bang Gang to hold both the AEW trios and the ROH trios. It's not necessary. No. Like, let somebody in ROH run that title. And then you gotta have a plan for all this talent. Like, what is Jay White doing? Like, Jay White he cuts great promos. He's a great wrestler. What are we doing? What are we doing with him?
Wasting away.
You have him. You have him. You have Okada, and then you have MJF. Right now, top 3 wrestlers and mouthpieces. Right, Swerve, another person, great worker. Right. great on the mic. What are we doing? What are we doing with what's the end goal with these guys? What do you want to accomplish? Like, how do you want the people to care? Right? Something has to happen. Like, and your guys, like, this is another thing that I'm nitpicking at with AEW, and I apologize, and I know this is gonna hurt somebody's feelings, right? But yo, not everybody needs to fucking not sell their size. Brian Cage is a big ass dude, and at some point in time, in the first 5 minutes of a match, he should not be bumping to somebody.
No.
Like, and I don't want to sound like mean about this to Darby Allin, right? Creatively, you can find a creative way to get him to go down. Hey, by all means, but like, hit him with a drop kick or shoulder tackle. It's like, why?
How often during the Attitude Era did you see Kane bump?
You really didn't.
You really didn't. Big Show, the Giant, like the list goes on. Giant Gonzalez, Andre the Giant. Like, you're a big guy. Act like a fucking big guy.
I'm looking at someone like like Wardlow, right? Wardlow should look like he is a destroyer of all worlds. And like, when I see him, somebody hits him with like a clothesline, and then he goes down, I'm like, why? Bro, you're as big as a house. Like, why are we going down? Like, Shane Taylor, they do some creative, because he doesn't go down. Like, if you watch how he works, he doesn't go down. He'll go into a buckle, he'll fall into the ropes. You might knock him off, off
but
balance.
He
never goes down. And when he does, it's a big deal. Like the match with Keith Lee, right? Like, those two dudes were just hitting each other, and they were looking like they're rocking each other, and nobody was going down. Even at their hardest blows that Shane Taylor was throwing, like, guys were just not going. Keith Lee wasn't going down, and Keith Lee was hitting, Shane Taylor. He wasn't going down. It was just great storytelling. But sometimes when we get these guys who are, and I don't want to say smaller dudes, but smaller guys, they hit one move and then the guy goes down. And you're like, why? Why are you going down, bro? Like,
Keith Lee is a guy who sells his size. That's what always wins me over with Keith Lee. But you're right. Like, how many of these guys take a super kick from somebody the size of Nick Jackson, and it's like they're taking a stunner from Stone Cold? It's all over the place, and the big guy's down off of a move that really shouldn't have done anything to him. Like, it's
hard.
It is.
And then, like, all these other, like, and the women's are doing such a great job of having these fun matches that are hard hitting, and we're not taking time to invest in them. Like, people want to be invested in these storylines that are going on, and you're really not giving us any reason to go through and watch all the way through, right? Like, we're gonna watch. Hopefully, we'll catch our favorite segments. We're gonna watch the top of the show because we want to see what you're gonna talk about. But as soon as, like, look at the build up that you have going on with Willow and Chris Statlander, right? Mm-hmm. And Mercedes Moné doesn't even have to be on the show. She's the champ. She don't have to be there. She got her storyline going on right now, right? Where she's gonna have her match, and then Toni Storm has her match going on. Like, cool. Now we have 3 great stories. They probably should be featured a little bit more, like, on your show to talk about.
I feel like it's like that point where excuse me. I feel like it's at that point where WWE struggled to promote their women. I feel like that's the, like, time frame we're in with AEW right now, because like you said, Toni Storm has an amazing storyline going on right now. She is an amazing worker. Why are we seeing her once a week for like 3 minutes?
Yeah. And a big ups to them, though, because they may get 3 minutes on the mic, but all that time,
all of it.
For it. But, like, I'm great and grateful. Like, I mean, if you're looking to try to figure out a way to get things moving right in a direction, then look at how WCW booked their talent at the beginning, right? I'm not talking about the end, right? I'm talking about at the beginning, right? Because you have all these fire, like, you had the luchadors tearing it down, right? So your little guys can start off these shows like super hot, bring in some of the mix of big guys, bring in your women, right? Then go back and grab some of your main eventers, and then your world champion. And that should be really like I feel like that should be the formula, right? Like your champion should be closing out your show because that's why he's there. He's your champion. So I'm so confused about like what's going on. Unless it's a bigger story going on than your champion, then your champion obviously can go, co-main event, and your main event can have the bigger story. But I don't know, man. Right now,
but who does AEW have right now that is bigger than their world champion? And let's be serious, like I don't see
MJF.
anybody. I mean, MJF, you could argue that, yeah, but
yeah,
I see MJF being world champion here very, very soon.
Me too.
But
you have MJF, you have Will. Like I'll give Will Ospreay his
due. I'll agree with that, but
the problem is I want Swerve to be on the same level as those guys.
Yeah,
and he is on that level, but you're not featuring him as that level. You're like, oh yeah, he's.
You're great and all that.
They're going to cut this segment in the third segment. They're going to cut this promo against each other, and that's it. Like
this will be my closing argument on AEW. Real quick, they also need to realize not every ex WWE guy needs a job.
This is true. This is true. But if you look at the way TNA is booking like Mustafa Ali and Nick Nemeth, like. They're killing it, and I watch TNA because of it.
That is, like you just said, that is the reason I tune into TNA wholeheartedly. Yeah. Not even gonna bullshit it.
And to be fair, right? Not saying that you shouldn't be signing every AEW talent or every ex-WWE talent that comes out, right? But there's certain people that you can sign. Like AEW has signed like the majority of these guys who could be needle movers. Yeah. And just not put them in places. And again, injuries do happen. I do understand that, and I 100% agree. Like they do happen, right? But when Adam Cole comes back to being full healthy, like I expect to see him he has to be moving these needles. Like he has to be getting these crowds involved. So you got to get your people involved as much as possible and get this crowd like hyped up. Not just like not your crowd in the arena. Your people who are watching on a TV, like there's got to be certain people that are watching.
It's very easy for somebody who's watching on TV to just go click and change the channel.
Yeah. Let me jump through these comments real quick. AEW needs to do vignettes, explain who wrestlers are, no real build-ups beyond a few top guys, and too many belts. 100%. I agree with it. Yep. I agree with it. You got a lot of old-timers that come in and help Tony. An outsider definitely is needed. Yeah, and you know what's funny? He blocked CHAZ, but if Cornette came through and started help setting things up, I don't know if I would disagree with the move.
I wouldn't disagree with it at all, to be honest. Like AEW needs somebody like with his mentality to come, not so much his mentality maybe, but his wrestling knowledge, to come in and be like, okay, enough of this shit, but we're going to start doing this shit.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Belts need to mean something. Brian Cage should be top guy in ROH. You know what? I agree that belts need to mean something. I don't know if Brian Cage would be the top dude that I would go with. As long as Shane Taylor's there, I would say that Shane Taylor needs to be that guy. Because STP, listen, and I can't be the only one that says this, but I watch Dynamite or Rampage for STP. That's it. Okay. And I know I'm 100%. I know I'm biased. I'm 100% gonna say that, but like I want to see where those guys are because I want to watch their stuff because they were putting on fire matches with Moxley, with Bryan Danielson. They were putting on fire matches with Will. You know what I mean? Like. Again, Keith Lee, right? Another matchup. Like, those guys need more screen time because the other part that AEW hasn't done yet, they haven't made their own star.
That is something that really rubs me the wrong way. And it goes back to what I'm saying about not every WWE guy needs a job. No, you can't forget your homegrown talent, and I feel like they have forgotten a lot of.
Yeah. We're gonna move over here, and if a guy is a great worker but can't talk, bring back managers, 100%. Not hype man. If a guy is a great talker and average worker, put them with people who can carry them and teach them. I 100% agree with that comment. 100%. Swerve needs a meaningful feud too. Yeah, so the first feud that you gave him right off the rip was with Christian Cage, and I don't have a problem with that because I think that's definitely necessary. Like especially after the big feud with Samoa Joe, I loved the fact that they put him with Christian, but after that, like you put him with Will, like that's
Bro,
a no win scenario.
Yeah.
You're killing.
You want to talk about being booked into a corner, like
Yeah.
You're
You could
fucking
have totally
somebody.
had. You could have totally had Will thought that he won the battle royale and then had him get thrown over, and then some heel is the one. Jay, like you know what? I'm gonna go to this next one. So pull out Jay White should be in this spot as the top heel. Jay White should have been that person. Jay White should have been the person to take on Swerve first. Oh, after Christian Cage. Like
me and Damien had a real long conversation about that, and I felt some type of way that it's not Jay White at the moment.
Yeah. Jay White's a great talker. He's a great worker. You know, you can bring out either the best or the worst. And Swerve, I just think it's necessary at this point. Like you're making Swerve look like he needs to be a heel against Will, and it's like, nah, man, we don't need all that. You got Jake Roberts on a payroll. I'm sure he could help with stories. 100%, I agree. And yeah, you might have lost your talent, as in like Arn Anderson. I think Dean Malenko just recently retired too. You know,
isn't Dallas still there though?
I think so.
Like Keith was saying, you got Jake Roberts there. Dallas is still there. That's Diamond Dallas paid for everyone who doesn't do DDP yoga.
I think he's still there though. I'm not sure, but it's like you got a bunch of dudes that are on this, a bunch of older dudes are on the payroll, and you got a bunch of younger dudes who can tell great stories. Like you should definitely be able to like encourage this happening, right? And sometimes, right, you just need someone who can have control of chaos. I think Christopher Daniels should be that guy. Like,
bro, look what he did for TNA.
Yeah, no, he's so good. Bring in Scott D'Amore.
Yeah,
like he don't got a job. Yeah, we're gonna put that
up
there.
Look at that! I didn't even see that one.
Yeah, you got Dutch Mantel out there to help you, and even Russo. I don't know if I would agree with Russo.
Yeah, Russo.
I mean, segments maybe 5 minutes, but everyone would get TV time. Yeah, probably. And I mean, you could bring on a couple. You know, what I mean, I figure you probably have like 4 or 5 matches per show on Rampage with 2 hours, and then in there you could fill in with like screen time, and then promo here, promo there. Thank you, camera, for turning off on me. That was weird, and still not wanting to turn on. There we go, and off. The Wyatts have taken over.
I don't want the smoke.
I don't want the smoke either. Nice. I'm trying to be nice to you guys. I'll put you over too. All right, so let's jump into the second part, right? We're going to talk about SmackDown. We were just talking about this man earlier as my hottest wrestler of the week. Jacob Fatu just made his debut on SmackDown, injecting new life into the bloodline. How do we feel about that?
Love it. Love everything about this. Wholeheartedly love it. Like we said last night, he is in phenomenal shape. Like, wholeheartedly, he looks like a completely different person. He is a phenomenal talent. We all know that from, watching him on the indies with MLW and so on and so forth. But man, this is just, I love everything about this. I was getting very stale with the Bloodline storyline, but now that we have like this issue with Solo being the head of the table and the Tongans coming in, and now Jacob Fatu, I am wholeheartedly invested back in this. Like, Jacob Fatu being there is just, it It is beautiful. Everything about it is beautiful. He is going to, he's just, it's going to be fun to watch where this goes, just like the Wyatt 6. I'm invested in this one.
Yeah, you definitely injected some new life, I guess new blood, we'll call it, into the bloodline storyline, into WWE. I mean, like you said, right? So Monday night we got the Wyatt 6, and on Friday we got Jacob Fatu, and into the storyline, man. What we're getting now is like you're starting to see like pieces put in place of what could possibly be coming to, right? Whether it's like we're seeing a storyline of where it's going to be bloodline versus bloodline, or we're seeing the storyline of you know a total takeover of the Samoan dynasty. We're getting something. We know we are, right? And it was funny because last night on, if you guys were watching the Villains Lounge on Twitch, I said that I thought maybe there's a possibility that we're going to get Haiku Leo. Actually, I think we talked about this afterwards, but I was
We
thinking
talked
that
about it afterwards.
Haiku Leo and the rest of the
Solo.
bloodline. Yeah, Solo was gonna get kicked out, and it was gonna be Roman, Jimmy J, and Solo versus Haiku Leo, Tama Tonga, Tamaloa, and Jacob Fatu. But there was something else I thought about, and I was like, what if, right? What if, and this is a long what if. What if Solo doesn't get kicked out, right? Let's just say you have. Let's just say you have. Yeah, let's just say Solo stays, right? And then you run with Solo, you run with Tama Tonga, Tamaloa, and Jacob Fatu, right? And on the other side, we have Roman Reigns, Jimmy J, and The Rock.
I don't know about that one, but
hey, man,
I respect it.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I respect it.
Where would Haiku Leo be? Hey, my man Haiku Leo will be coming in and just damaging people at the end to help make sure that Solo stayed on top.
Oh my god, bro!
Yeah.
Oh
like,
my
there's so
god.
much possibilities. Like, you can always bring Rikishi back, right? For one, like, not even one last run. He could just be like the dude there. Like,
I am really, and this is if I should probably wait to say this, but I'm just going to say it now anyway. I am really waiting for them to kick Paul Heyman out and bring like Haku or bring in Rikishi as the wise man.
Yeah.
Somebody
like
that is actual leader. Bloodline, like keep it as pure as possible.
And then, and they wouldn't even refer to him as a wise man. They would just call it the spiritual leader. Like, I can see that. I can see that happen. That'd be cool. But Jacob Fatu is such an interesting cat too, because like, he's just the Samoan werewolf. Like, my man is just a beast. He's just a straight monster, right? And I love the aspect that we're bringing in all these dudes who are just killers, right? Just straight,
wholeheartedly,
as some people in the E will call it, thugs. But like Haku Lee, Tama Tonga and Tamaloa were both described as dudes who like, hey, there was a reason why we didn't bring these guys in, because they're some bad dudes. But then you bring in Jacob Fatu, probably outside of Jimmy and Jay, a person who's done some real time, in real life, like
yeah.
And
this man is a legit convict, people. Like, there is no storyline behind that. He is 100% a convict.
Mm-hmm. He's reformed.
Reformed, of course. Shout out to Jacob Fatu, man. I love everything. I can't wait to see where this goes.
I remember when he was introduced, and I was introduced to him through MLW, and I watched him with Contra, and I was like, "Who's that guy?" I was like, "That looks like." He looks like he's a Samoan, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's part of the Samoan dynasty." And I saw Rikishi, and I was like, "Oh god, he's gonna be a WWE someday." And like 4 years later, here he is.
A friend of mine named Nui, who I want to say used to, I don't know if he still works for EWA, put me on to Jacob Fatu. So shout out to Nui for putting me on him.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm so happy for him too, and it's cool because like, we've had so many wrestlers come on the podcast for like Now Entering a Ring, and like to look back and see a bunch of those guys and girls, right, start breaking through and start like hitting in that next level, like it's so much fun. And I was like, I wish I would have sent an email out to Jacob Fatu back in 2020 and see if I could have brought him on the show.
Bro, that
Yeah.
would have been an awesome episode.
And specifically in 2020, because let's be real, nobody was doing anything in 2020. We were all sitting around. I was literally booking people for that podcast. And
well, I was in Florida, so we were kind of living life. But
I brought on TJP because of
I remember that.
Yeah, so I was like, I wish I would have.
That's when you got Willow Nightingale on too, wasn't it?
No, so Willow would have been last year, the year before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, her story was pretty funny too, man. Just like, and that's why I'm so happy seeing her, especially former TBS champion, former NWA, and NJ, PW, women's champion. You know what I mean? Like strong women's champion. Like, I met her in a locker room, and I was like, "Listen, I'm gonna get this once in a lifetime opportunity." I was like, "I'd love to bring you on the podcast," and she was like, "Okay." And then like I met her again randomly a month later, and then we got it booked. And then like a week later, she met my daughter for the first time, and like then she was like, "Oh, your daughter's so cool," and then like from there just kind of took off.
Awesome,
so I was like, yeah, we had it was a cool relationship to kind of help build up. But back to Fatu and seeing this man, I just want to see him kicking more people's heads off. That's all I want to see.
Bro, just let him be Jacob Fatu. Don't try and sugarcoat it and make it as extra as humanly possible. Just let him be the Samoan werewolf. It will work, I swear.
Yeah, he's gonna be a complete nightmare for everybody coming up. And you know what? Big shout outs to Hunter for taking a chance on everybody coming in.
Yeah,
like I 100% love it, right? Because I know like these may not have been guys that Vince McMahon would have taken a chance on. Like,
let's be serious. The Gorillas of Destiny, the Tongans, whatever you want to call them, they're not really media friendly. Like, you can look up Tama Tonga on any NJPW interview, and he is fuck this and fuck that, and I'm gonna kill you, and your wife can watch. Like,
yep.
So yeah, definitely shout out to Triple H for taking a chance with these guys.
So normally this would be about the part where between you would have seen Damien's Dumbass of the Week, but Damien's not on the show. CHAZ's Fave 5. I thought that was just a birthday thing. We were talking about this before.
Yeah, right.
he wanted to do it again, but he's not on the show. He's booked. Shout outs to Pure Ignorance running on Let Them Cook right now for Fight Club Pro Wrestling. Shout outs to those guys too.
Sweet shout out.
Yeah, big shout outs. And then also shout outs to those guys that they were on EWA last night too. So
nice.
Yeah. So Pure Ignorance been run around this weekend. So big shout outs. And then CHAZ will be back next week too. So we're gonna jump into the third debate topic. This is kind of an interesting one because this is one that CHAZ really want to talk about, but we're gonna go ahead and talk about it here. It was recently said through a lot of IG stuff with MVP, right? That Triple H didn't want to bring back the Hurt Business. Was it good or bad for MVP to put that information out?
I think, okay, so I saw this and I read the comments and all that. It really... So this just, to me personally, this looked like a person who had their time, got let go, and just can't really let go of the fact that it's over. Like, I like the Hurt Business. I was a fan of them. I think that it was a great stable. But at the same time, it ran its course. Like, is it worth being butthurt that he had the opportunity to do it and not bring you guys back? Probably not. I gotta agree with Triple H and not bringing them back. Like, it, like I said, it just, to me, it ran its course.
I think the problem was is that it didn't get a fair shake. It was over 2020, right? Probably, VKM is looking for something to like that can get people talking, right?
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley and MVP together. Then they get Shelton Benjamin and they bring in Cedric. And like they really never had that momentum behind them. I mean, I know Bobby won the title, right?
Yeah.
And that he was like the big baddie, but like they never had a full run. They never got a real chance to like. It was like Retribution, right?
Yeah.
It never got that. It never got that impact that it really, really deserved. So it was just kind of odd. But like for them, when we all kind of like clowned about it, like, oh, we should get the Hurt Business 2.0. And we all legitimately popped and we were like, yo, we should get like the Street Profits with like Bobby Lashley and like Omos, and we could do like Ricochet too, or Carmelo Anthony, right? Or Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, you did the same thing I did.
Yeah. Carmelo Hayes. Like you get those guys involved. Like now we've got like this whole new dynamic of like what the Hurt Business could look like, right? And then like the old Hurt Business could be like, Shelton and Cedric be like, no, we want to get in this too. And I'm like, nah, bro. We moving up and moving out. Yeah, we trying to upgrade the group. And I think that would have been cool. But I feel like the problem is that with a lack of fans, there's a lack of interest in them. And then when you started getting fans back, there was other things that the fans wanted to see take off, like like Bailey's heel turn. Like they really wanted to continue to boo her. People were trying to get behind Drew McIntyre, right? On NXT, you had the Undisputed Era, just like chop and shop up. So I think
it was a time full of bunch of stables.
Yeah.
And it's like they just fell short of what could have been.
Yeah. I think that's the problem. I agree. I think that they should have they deserve another run with something else that's gonna hit, right? And I think if MVP came back with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits really got that full chance to turn heel, like you can do some serious damage. And
I would love to see a fully committed heel turn for the Street Profits.
Yeah.
Like,
I think the fans just want to cheer them though. Like they don't want to turn on them.
That would be probably the hardest group to turn on.
Yeah.
But it was cool seeing Bobby Lashley as world champion for the brief period of time that it was. But when you look at that, you could have made Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander tag team champions, but then you have to look at who was also around as a tag team at that time, and it didn't make sense. So I mean, it would have been cool to see them blossom, but it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out like for them. Like I think the Hurt Business was. I don't even want to say they're pieces away because they weren't. They were on point. Like at one point, like Cedric and Shelton were like just holding things down while Bobby was just running.
Wow. And MVP can talk. Like we know this, so it's not like they lacked a mouthpiece or anything like that. It's just the timing wasn't there for y'all, man.
Nah, it was. It didn't work out, unfortunately. But I do think that the Hurt Business 2.0 should be a thing. I think Bobby needs to come. Bobby needs to be the head, right, when he comes back from being injured. Definitely the Street Profits. MVP needs to come back. Omos needs to be thrown in, and Carmelo Hayes needs to be in that group. And those guys need to just run rampant over everybody. Like it should be a thing. And I know people are gonna be like, "Well, Carmelo Hayes is a star on his own. Why does he need to be with those guys?" He's still young in the game. Like, to be mentored by someone like Bobby Lashley and MVP, like I think that would help him. Like,
didn't he already shoot down Bobby Lashley's offer? It helped though.
Yeah, but I think if you stick him into like a losing streak, and then have Bobby just kind of be there to be like, "Yo, let me help you, let me help you, let me help you," and he keeps turning it down, and then finally, like one day, Carmelo just snaps. And there he is. There's a let me be real. There's one of my favorite moments, right? Just in wrestling, right? And yes, I know it's a mark out moment for me, right? But Trish Adora was crying after a match, right? This was on Ring of Honor before I got bought by AEW. She's crying after a match, and Shane Taylor walked up, lifted her chin up, right? Grabbed her by the hands and stood her up, and he said, "You're too powerful and too beautiful of a queen to be sitting here in tears." That's it. Didn't tell her anything else and just walked away, right?
Damn.
And it's like, yo, this is a moment where like he's literally telling you, yo, we can bring you into Shane Taylor Promotions, but just not saying it. Just like, hey, don't do that. And that's the same thing you do with Bobby. Bobby, Carmel beginning a phase, right? He gets upset. Bobby could be like, hey man, no, King, don't be like that.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I respect
And then
that.
you do these kind of little turn vignettes as it goes along, right? And then finally Bobby Lashley looks at Carmelo Hayes and it's like, hey man, you done playing yet? Come on, follow my lead. I got you. And then that's it.
Putting it like that, I could get behind that.
That's what I'm saying. And then at that point, like Carmelo turns, Carmelo's in the group, right? Bobby's there. Omos is obviously like the big giant that he is, and then the Street Profits turn, and now you have this group of just males that are just like, hey, we about to run a rough shot over everybody. And I'm like, that's what I'm here for.
Now you got a group of alpha males ready to do alpha male shit.
But the other problem though, and this was my counter to my own argument, you have so many factions right now that one of them has to go. And who goes? You know what I mean? Because you have the Judgment Day, you have LWO, you have
Judgment Day is already falling apart, you could argue.
Yeah.
So you could say that Judgment Day is on its way out. Final Testament is okay and all, but I wouldn't be mad if they broke up.
Right. Like I think Karrion Kross can do this all on his own. He doesn't really need a group with him, and I think AOP coming back, like they can do these things on their own. They don't. I mean, they got Paul Ellering back. They don't really need like.
That would be the group worth getting rid of to bring back a Hurt Business 2.0.
Yeah, I would love to see them kind of disbanded. I'm gonna be honest too. Kind of want Judgment Day. Just finally, I know that's the plan is to boot Damien out and then have just Finn take over as like the group leader. But like, it's just time. Like we gotta get that. After this match, hey, it's hack time. Like I would want to see like a second run back of like the winner of this match gets the last spot in the TLC match or in the Money in the Bank. Have it be Finn and have Finn win. And then Finn tells him like, I'm not gonna cash in on you, man. We're family, we're brothers, blah 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 blah. I got your back, like I said.
And then cash in on him. Yeah.
And cash in on him.
I respect that.
You take the title. And you take the title at like, I don't know, Survivor Series. But a War Games or something to that effect.
A random PLD.
Shit, the Rumble. That way Damien Priest has to like go into the Rumble to win a shot to try to main event WrestleMania.
LMSL.
There you go. See, we have plans. There you go, Hunter. Just for you. We have odd plans that we can throw together too.
We can do this shit as well.
We can do it too. Hey, so you guys, if you guys hung out with us this long, thank you for coming along. I'm not gonna give you guys, trophies and viruses and achievements like CHAZ does. I definitely appreciate you guys coming, hanging out with us, talking with us. Right? We definitely we love it when you guys come and drop your opinions, drop your comments. We get to respond to them afterwards. So if you guys are here with us live, or you're even checking us out afterwards on YouTube, on Facebook, or whatever, right? Definitely leave your comments in, give us those likes, give us those shares. We appreciate all of that. But like every great part of a wrestling match, we got to take this home because this is Red Dawg Friends. I know the sign says CHAZ of Friends, but don't worry about that kind of stuff, right? You guys, make sure you guys are checking us out on all of our social media platforms. You even follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channels, right? Both of them. following us on Twitch, you're checking us out on Spotify, you're checking us out on Amazon Music, you're even peeping us on that weird app with the dumb jingle that goes iHeartRadio or however it goes, right? You're buying our merch on foryourwear.com or you're picking up our merch on prowrestlingtees.com. You're either, sharing this, liking this, commenting on it, or doing all three. You're even talking to your mom about it, your dad about it, your auntie, your uncles, your grandma, your grandpas, your cousins, your nephews, your nieces, all those people, your friends, even the haters that you have, because we love haters too. Doing all that stuff, or really, you're just kind of like waiting for me to end this episode, checking out that outro, and then choosing another episode to listen to.
Yep.
Kawaii.